Hello everyone, Grim here, and as you can probably tell, it is time for me to read you another story. This one is titled Dream of Me, written by the authors Beautiful Nightmare and Darkheroxx. So, sit back, relax, and let's begin. Desolation. The construction area is completely destroyed from the tornado that ripped through the town a few hours ago. Not a soul is in sight as a young man walks further into the ring of fire, not really caring if he contaminates the crime scene. The man pulls out a small notepad from his left breast pocket of his shirt to review the notes that he had taken over the last few weeks. Mark Palmer has spent 3 weeks attempting to figure out what happened to a young boy named Danny Petrillo, who disappeared from his house after walking home from school one day. Slowly but surely, one piece of evidence by one, Mark has started to fit together the puzzle of what has happened to the young boy when he received intel that Danny would be meeting with someone named Tiger. Tiger has a reputation for being an exotic dealer. He dealt drugs, weapons, animals, the works. Mark struts into the blazing corpse of a building without a care in the world. He kneels down over a smoldering body, takes a glove out of his jacket pocket, and gently picks up the hand of the person. A tiger tattoo resides on his forearm. Mark heavily sighs upon realizing that this is the person Danny was supposed to meet with this evening. "Where the hell have you gone, Danny?" the man questioned aloud. Mark looks up from the ground when he hears sirens wailing not far out. Of course this is going to be very bad for him, although he knows procedure. It will get him arrested for sure. Mark watches as the police cruisers pull into the dismantled parking lot. Officers step out of their cars and slam the doors shut when Mark spots the town sheriff, David Lamprey. Mark knows this encounter will be bad based off the way David sweeps his eyes across the scene. He watches as David and his men walk into the ring of fire with sullen looks on their faces. David grabs a hold of the sleeve on Mark's jacket and pulls him to the side. "What the hell are you doing here, Mark?" David asks. "I have a case to solve." "You know damn well you're not supposed to be at a crime scene, case or not. You aren't on the force anymore, considering what happened." "A young boy is missing, and you expect me not to disturb your work." Mark cuts him off. "Are you insane? You're working Danny's case? I recall his mother mentioning that she had hired outside help." "Yes." Mark sighs once more. "The victim in there happens to be Julian Combs, also known as Tiger." "Damn it!" David hisses. "What's wrong with you?" "I shouldn't even be talking to you about this, but..." David looks around. "Tiger was our main suspect in a murder investigation." "Interesting." Mark rubs his chin. "Not one word had better get out to the press about this. Your ass is mine if it does," David growls. "Yes, sir," Mark salutes. He hasn't always been of the sarcastic nature. However, it became a necessity when things in his life shifted. The officers on the scene snicker and gossip about Mark as if he isn't there. Mark, unhappy that David had mentioned personal matters, continued to work out the ideas that were bouncing back and forth inside of his head, before calling it a day. Mark wraps a bloody piece of paper up in one of his surgical gloves, shoves it into the jacket pocket and stands up from the ground. He flips off the nearby officers as he slams his shoulder into the left bicep of Isaac Jameson, a police officer who ruined his life. Mark walks away from the crime scene. He shields his eyes from the high-risen sunlight while stepping off a curb. He enters into the parking lot, doing his best to avoid the broken asphalt. He unlocks the doors to his car and slides into the driver's seat. Loud music sounds the moment the engine of the car roars to life. Mark takes a cigarette from the pack sitting atop the dashboard. He lights the cancerous little stick and speeds out of the parking lot without a care in the world. Mark pulls into the driveway of a run-down two-story house. He rubs at his tired eyes and lets out a yawn which turns into a heavy sigh. He grabs the briefcase sitting in the passenger seat and opens the door of the car. Mark's foot instantly lands in a puddle of mud when he steps out of the car. A slew of curse words leave his lips as he slowly makes his way up the path of cracked cement. Mark pushes the key into the slot of the door handle and turns it to the left. The sound of clicking enters his ears, notifying him that he may now enter. A mess of boxes greet him when he steps into the house. A breath of dust sends him into a coughing fit. A handkerchief is quickly placed in front of his mouth, allowing the droplets of blood to be caught. After the urge to cough is past, Mark whips his lips with a now stained handkerchief and sits down on the couch in the living room. He kicks off his shoes and throws his legs into the couch, resting his head on the firm hand pillow. He slowly drifts into unconsciousness. Frost-covered branches slam into Mark's back, causing his brown eyes to widen in shock. He reaches behind him to be certain. Alas, there are two wooden branches sticking out of his lower back. The feeling in his legs has ceased, causing him to cry out for help. Mark's eyes dart back and forth when twigs snap close by, startling him. Mark grabs a stick from the forest ground and points the sharp end outward. Who's there? He struggles to call out. No response. He waits for a moment before calling out once more. Show yourself! Again, no response. Mark crawls towards the base of a tree when his hands lay in something warm. He slowly glances down to see the body of a woman laying there. He shakingly reaches out, places two fingers on the side of her neck and presses down, waiting to feel a pulse. When no pulse comes, Mark pulls his hands away and intentionally stares down at the woman. She looks familiar. She looks like someone he knows, like someone close to him. Her mouth twitches, causing Mark to sigh in hope. However, a long centipede with yellow legs inches its way out of her mouth, just as the midsection of her blue flower-printed dress begins to bulge. Up, down, up, down. Her stomach moves to an unheard beat. He moves closer, attempting to see if she is truly breathing, when the midsection caves in. The sound of flesh tearing echoes through the area. Mark exhales a deep breath as he cautiously peers down once more. The cavity of her midsection is filled with those creepy, crawly creatures. Disgusted by the sight, Mark pulls himself away and instantly hurls. The contents of his stomach quickly land on the ground, causing him to wipe at his mouth with the back of his hand. "Amanda?" he shouts. Mark springs upright in the couch, having woken to his voice screaming. His eyes were wide as tears sprung to the brim. Then the sudden realization hits him. The woman laying on the ground before him in the dream was his wife Amanda. She went missing 12 years ago, causing everything in Mark's life to spiral out of control. That is an amazing story. Fun fact, it is the first submission that I have ever received, and I could not be more proud of myself. I know I've only made it to 160, 165 subscribers so far, but it is honestly a privilege to be able to see so many people jumping on to listen to me. Even though the first 100 were people that I begged to follow along. But either way, it's good to see there's some growth in the channel, and I appreciate everyone. I really do. In the description of this video, there's going to be a couple of links. One of them will be to my link tree. It'll have everything. My Instagram, my YouTube, TikTok, everything that I've got going on at the moment. Feel free to subscribe and follow along with those. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to push anyone to jump on for the long haul, obviously, but if you feel like it, please subscribe, like, helps me out a lot. Alternatively, though, please, be safe, look after yourselves wherever you are, and this has been Grim, and I'm signing off.